Kia ora and welcome to my reflections for Domain 5, looking at systems-based intervention and systemic change and systems work. And to begin with, what I wanted to point out was the fact that I've chosen very deliberately to have a koru pattern as the skin on my page. And the reason for that was simply because for me, the koru is about the interconnection of lots of elements coming together, particularly the image on this page of the different things. For me, systems is about drawing on the strength of the many and creating something that's going to be strong and withstand the ravages of time and weather and place and what have you. And when I looked at the koru, I thought that to me is really significant in terms of embedding a practice into place because it regenerates and it's sustainable. It continues to grow. And so I looked up on the internet to see what the meaning of a koru was, and it came back on Wikipedia saying that it was about strength and growth and life, and that it was about perpetual motion forward, but still at its origin retaining key principles and key elements, the wairua at the heart of it. And I thought that for me encapsulates a lot of what systems work is. It's about the growth and the movement forward and the embracing innovation and embracing improvements, but still staying true to the wairua, to the values and the principles that were at the heart of that whole system or that entity. And I really like the koru pattern for that reason. I think that evolving and that moving forward with the fidelity of why we're doing it. And so I looked at systems work in that context, and I thought for me systems work is about moving forward, embracing innovation, looking to improve what's working and to build on that, and also to look at what can we do better. And so it's bringing together all the people and using the strengths of the many. And the old saying, the sum of the many is greater than the sum of the individual parts. And I think that's what systems is about. It's about the collaboration of all. And it starts with communicating a shared vision, getting that idea out there and getting like-minded people on board with you and sharing your ideas, hearing each other's ideas, and then looking at implementing them. And so bringing together a team of like-minded people to look at, okay, what works and what can we do better. And so we cast our net widely, we look around and we see what other people are doing and we look to see what would work here. And then we use that to create our own system that works for us. And so it means rather than importing something lock, stock and barrel from another place, it looks at looking at it, analysing it, sharing it as a team, and then working out what's compatible in our setting and what are our values and what matters to us and how do we bring together the best of what's available with what's our value and our culture within our own setting. And so, yeah, I think it's that interdependence and interconnection between entities, and it takes me back to the core paper when we looked at interprofessional connections. I think that's a lot about this. It's interprofessional. It's in our own environment and ecology, looking at what is it that we want to achieve and how can we get there, and let's consult, let's bring on the voices of all of those around us to make sure that everybody's heard, everybody has a voice, and everybody feels like they've been heard and that what they have to say is valued. And from there, then we drive that forward through professional development, through communication, through sharing of information, and trying to be transparent, making sure that practices are open to scrutiny and robust, and ensuring that everyone gets to feel like they've had input. And that's how you get buy-in from all the stakeholders, and we can actually begin to implement it. Otherwise, there's a possibility that people sabotage or don't fully understand what's happening, and inadvertently sabotage by maybe veering off from what's intended. So it's about really being very clear and very explicit on what we want, how we're going to get there, personalising it to our setting, and then ensuring everybody's got the support to help them. And that's teacher aides getting the support to do the job they need to, and that they know what they're expected to do. It's about bringing in resources, and rather than just doing a piecemeal job where we work just with one or two students, it's actually looking at the system and saying, you know what, this works for many kids. Let's again cast that net widely. Let's make sure as many kids as possible have access to this. Assistive technology isn't the domain of kids that are having some troubles with their writing or their reading. It's actually about utilising those strategies and making sure everybody gets access to it, and that we all get the best. I've seen this with the Numicon and play-based learning and oral language. Actually, those things work for all kids. We look so often at issues around dyslexia, and we say, you know, best practice for kids with dyslexia is sharing goals and making it meaningful and getting them involved in it. Well, actually, that works for all of our kids. And so looking at, let's embed some of these practices as everyday practices. Let's make all of our kids feel valued and cared about and safe within the classroom, so that they're in a position to learn, rather than just targeting kids that we know are having some issues. So yeah, I think it's all of those things. It's being able to transform learning context for kids, and it requires time. It requires courage for people to change. Sometimes that's really hard for people to feel like they want to. Sometimes teachers don't want to change, and we looked at that in competency 3 with the teacher aid component, where sometimes teachers think, no, you look after that child, I'll look after the other 30 kids in the class. So it's about people having the courage to change, the support to change, feeling like there's a purpose in it, and having time to not only get to that position, but time to understand and move forward. And our goal ultimately is about building capacity, making sure that teachers feel supported, teacher aides feel supported in the school, and it's not just an expert coming in, doing something and then leaving, but actually that everybody's now got the capacity to do it, including the students themselves, the peers. So it's about having training and referring to data and making sure that keeps informing our practice. And then probably someone coordinating it, making sure that overall we're looking at keeping all of those components ticking along, we're monitoring it and making sure that everyone's valued, everyone's heard, everyone's feeling heard and valued. And if things aren't working, going back and tweaking it and saying, okay, in our setting, how could this work better? What would look better? So I think the systems-based approach, it's the only sustainable way to get bang for buck. It's the way to make sure that we're most effective, and then we keep monitoring that and making sure it works. And there's lots of systems that work around us, so it's making sure that we're continually reflecting on what we're doing, going back to the koru, what's at the heart of it, and going forward, what's ahead of us, and drawing both on the expertise of those that have been around for a while, and utilising the energy and the vigour and the innovation of the new ones that are coming in, and melding together all of those things so that we can embed systems and principles that work for the betterment of all. So it's been really interesting to think about systemic change and to recognise what it is, and to give a name to what we've talked about many times as, you know, oh, wouldn't this be good if it could happen wider? Now I realise that that's part of systems work, and that zooming out to see, you know, zoom in, here we are working at a micro level, but let's zoom out and see this working at a macro level or further out, so that we've got the benefit for the many in the community. Yeah, so it's been a long journey, been a big journey, and yeah, I'm have gained a lot, and I'm pleased to be at this point, and I look forward to seeing you anon. So ka kite, travel safely. Bye.